Hello guys, this is Movie Lover and welcome to this Movie Lover world. Meet Stig. He's and all the girls like him. This specific girl is Stig's neighbor Lisbeth and she really likes him. Fast forward to the next day and we're in biology class, Miss Viola's biology class. Every boy in class has a crush on Miss Viola and she knows that everyone's learning some biology. And also past the time or also passing around a single piece of chewing gum, they're all chewing. When suddenly a fly appears. Stig then kills the beast with a makeshift slingshot like a true alpha. Class is over for everyone except Stig. Miss Viola stops him and tells him that chewing used gum ain't hygienic and to also clean up the dead fly guts from her board. Stig does as he's told. While eyeballing Miss Viola, Stig then heads home quickly because this is the day that his brother, who was off fighting in World War II, comes home. Stig looks around for said brother and can't find him. He then asks his mom where his brother's at. She said he went to run some errands. Stig then reads a letter on the table and finds out his brother is leaving again because he's transferred to a submarine unit. Stig gets upset and attempts to leave the house but bumps into his neighbor Lisbeth. She tries to spark up a conversation but Stig isn't with it and leaves. He's working at his local movie theater when his brother surprises him. His brother says that he's very excited to fight in the war and stakes shouldn't worry. Stig is reading a dictionary before class one day to show his big brain and Viola walks in. Stig puts the book back and eyeballs Miss Viola. Viola catches him but doesn't say anything. From this moment on my man's is simping hard. He stares at her in class all the time and even stares at her outside her house sometimes. Lightstalker tendencies. One day Viola asks if any students can help her bring some things home to her house after class, and you already know my man Stig says absolutely. All the other kids have a crush on Viola as well, but they recognize Stig as the leader of the pack and keep their hands down. Fast forward to Viola's house, because I know you all want to get straight to it. Viola and Stig accidentally get into a heated position, then begin to kiss. Viola pulls away because she realizes this is all quite wrong and heads to her room. Stig follows her. They kiss some more and start having an affair, and y'all waited this long, so here's some footage of said affair. Boom, cut the class. All the kids head over to watch airplanes after school. Stig then says he has to go and heads over to Viola's house for a surprise visit. She looks at Stig like he's bugging, but she lets him in anyway. They're hanging out when she tells him not to come through unannounced because her husband might be home from work. Stig is over one day when her husband comes home. Her husband doesn't think much of the situation because he's Viola's student. Viola's husband strikes up a conversation with Stig. They began to talk about classical music, who they are both fans of. Stig's father never appreciated classical music, so Stig instantly bonds with Viola's husband. Viola and Stig start to hang out pretty often after that since they figured they can't get caught. One day, Stig can't sleep, so he heads over to Viola's place. He figures out her husband is there and heads home instead of just fighting her husband and asserting his dominance. A few days pass by, and we find out it's Viola's birthday. Stig buys her some flowers and heads to her place, but she's not home. Her husband walks in though, and the two have a conversation. Husband starts telling Stig about his job and classical music, and we then see Stig and Viola taking a nap. Stig and Viola start pretty often in the coming days when one day Stig runs into Viola's husband in a pretty compromising outfit. Husband goes, "It's cool man, you can my wife, no biggie, let's hang out," and the two begin to talk and play soccer sometimes. It turns out Viola's husband knew about the affair the whole time. He reveals that he cheated on Viola when they first got married and they never moved past it. He spends his time drinking and she spends her time cheating. It's a win-win. Lisbon is at her house putting on an interesting outfit while everyone in her building is having a dinner party. Lisbeth invites Stig over to her place and locks the door. She then tells Stig to close his eyes and takes off all her clothes, but since y'all don't want to see all that, I'll cover her up for you. She says she wants Stig to take her and accept her love. He says, nah, he's good. And she puts her clothes on. Stig is at Viola's house and asks why she doesn't divorce her husband. She says why would she do that, she can do whatever she wants, she has a good thing going. Stig and husband are hanging out and talking. One day they're having a wholesome and really meaningful conversation and seem to really like each other. Husband then gets drunk and passes out. Viola walks in and says to hurry up and come to her room. Stig feels bad for husband, so he gets up and leaves. In class one day Stig is writing on the board when Viola writes she'll visit him tonight at his place. Stig immediately goes to the bathroom and doesn't know how to respond because husband is his dog now, and you know he can't just keep smashing his boy's wife anyway. Stig is hiding in the girls' locker room because he doesn't want to go back to class and can't help but take a little peek. Lisbeth is one of the last girls in the locker room and she must be looking mighty fine to him in her prison-style whitey because he shoots a piece of paper at her to get her attention. Lisbeth spots Stig and they get it on there at his place when she asks him how he knows so much about a woman's needs, and he says movies, you know, since he works in a movie theater. Very smooth cover from then on. Lisbon and Stig spend a lot of time together. Things seem to be going pretty smoothly for Stig. Until he hears on the radio that a submarine has been blown up. He freaks out a bit because if you remember from earlier in the movie, his brother was in the submarine unit, and well, he is good reason to freak out because one day a Navy officer walks into Stig's house and tells him his brother didn't survive and is not coming home. Stig gets sad and cries and has a drink. He then comforts his mom, who's also having a cry. Stig is at work one day and gets a visit from Viola since he stopped giving her attention and goes to her. Lisbeth also walks into the theater to find Stig, and well, she finds him. Stig tries to console Lisbeth, but she breaks up with him for cheating on her with their teacher. Stig then heads over to Vila's house to break up with her the next day, and sees that she's pretty drunk. She tells him to sleep with her. He says, nah, he's here to end things. She then shockingly breaks a bottle of alcohol and threatens the minor to take off his clothes and give it to her. He starts to take off his clothes and she literally rapes him. The next day she then fails him in biology and says she got permission from the principal to make him retake the class since he doesn't want to come to her place. Stig says he will tell the police about their relationship, but she claims no one will believe him. He also finds out she ripped out all the records of his grades, so he won't have any proof. Also at around this time in the movie, a plane flies over and dumps fuel on some students, injuring them, which really doesn't have anything to do with the story, but I figured some of you would like to see it. He's writing on the board one day as she starts to lift her skirt up. Stig absolutely loses it and kicks her desk over. Stig gets sent to the principal's office that has to be transferred to a new class. Principal says, nah man, get out. Stig starts to cry on the way back from Stig's brother's funeral. His mother wonders if he's okay and believes all the strain from his work and the death of his brother calls him to fail. She then begins to wonder if anything more caused him to fail, and he tells her not to worry, and he'll tell her the whole story when she's older. Stig then visits Viola's husband and asks him for help in clearing his name. Bael's husband remains passive and says he'll be staying neutral. And at this point Stig is probably thinking, I should have just kept smashing your wife. We see Viola congratulating all the graduating students when Stig walks in and takes off all his clothes. He then heads back to class, takes all the books and leaves, and well, that's the end of the movie. A story about a boy who learned that anyone could be a villain, anyone could be a hero, and that someone who truly loves you can be lost in an instant. Well, in the end he turned out to be pretty lame, but we'll put him under hero cause the outro won't sound as good if we don't. Thanks for tuning in guys, and if you enjoyed the recap be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Take care. Thanks for watching. Movie Lover will meet you again with new story. Till take care.